Hey there. It's me, Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the comment, thanks. Interlude. A week later, she came home for 3 weeks, to rest and get her strength back. Later, they would do the same therapy/chemo combination they had discussed earlier. Only this time, it wouldn't be to strengthen her damaged leg. It would be preparing for using a whole new leg, made of plastic and metal and who knows what. The rehab people had taught Sarah to use crutches, and she could swing around pretty good when she had the energy. Most of the time, she used the wheelchair. Mr. Holding had built a ramp. I turned down the summer job that I had been offered in a bike shop to spend more time with Sarah. Most of the time, she was strong. She'd joke, complain about little things, laugh at awkward moments. Quite a bit of the time she was silent, a bit depressed, and would just sit in the recliner and look off into space. The Holdings told me that the doctors had explained that losing a body part is like losing a friend, and you naturally work through the stages of grief. It's also a terrible blow to your self-image. So I'd just sit there near her, and touch her hand, and talk when she was ready to. I was a little concerned that she never wanted to go out in public. She never liked being the center of attention, and the thought of people staring at her bothered her deeply. She didn't have many friends over either. Her best friend, Cassie, was totally freaked out by Sarah's illness. The only time she came by the house, she freaked out crying. She would call Sarah on the phone practically every day, and would talk about anything except Sarah's leg and Sarah's cancer. One of Sarah's favorite teachers was good about coming by and visiting, and Sarah got bunches of get well cards. Funny they don't make cards that say sorry about losing your leg and good luck with the cancer. Too limited a market, I guess. Sarah promised me that once she got her new leg, she'd get out more. I hoped so. One day, Julie walked in looking totally depressed. Sarah was in her room sleeping. "What's wrong?" I asked Julie. She said nothing. "Yeah, sure, right. Come on, Julie. What gives? I guess I'm not going to college." Although the Holdings couldn't afford regular college tuition, she had won an athletic scholarship to a liberal arts college, about 30 miles east of the state university. My scholarship is a work/study kind of thing. I have to spend the next 2 months helping the staff run basketball camps for girls. If I don't go, I don't get the scholarship. She was talking quietly, so Sarah wouldn't overhear. "But I don't understand. Why can't you go?" I asked. "You remember the doctors and social workers and those dudes recommending that Sarah stay in Hope Haven? That was a place where sick kids could stay with family members while undergoing treatments and therapy. Cheaper than the hospital and much less institutional. You can only go there if a family member stays with you. With all the hospital bills and the time they've taken off already, Mom and Dad can't afford to stay with her full time. There's nobody else in our family, even from out of town, who can come either. So it's up to me. I'll have to stay with Sarah." "Julie, you can't just throw away a college education like that. There must be another way to do this. Could I stay? Could I pretend I'm her brother? The social workers have interviewed us and know who is in her family and who isn't. We toured Hope Haven as a family. You couldn't pass as Mom or Dad, by a long shot. I appreciate you offering, though. It's okay. I can go to nail tech school next fall and work for the Kims." That was the Korean family who ran the nail shop where Julie works. "You have more future than gluing fake nails on ladies," I said. By then Julie's mom and dad had come into the room. "We have to find another way. And you know I'll do anything to help." The idea. I left there so they could have supper. I spent the night laying awake, trying to figure out something. What could I do? I felt so helpless. The next morning, before I could leave for the holdings, the phone rang. It was Julie. I have an idea I want to talk about with you. We need to be alone for me to tell you. Let me pick you up at 9. We'll go for a drive and have a picnic, so dress grubby, if you aren't already. I told Sarah that I needed to do some things with you, so she knows you won't be by until early afternoon. She's okay with that. Julie pulled up wearing some old Banana Republic stuff, with pockets all over the place. Her nails were a different color than yesterday, a light orange that went well with the khaki. She had packed a picnic lunch for us, and suggested we go to the fort. That's our local nickname for a state park up in the foothills, about 15 miles from town, another favorite bicycling destination, with some steep grades that gave a real workout. We were driving today, though, in Julie's beat-up Honda. She was quiet and thoughtful as she drove, not like her usual lively self. She glanced over at me and said, "We usually kid each other, but I want to be real straight with you. I don't think Sarah could have made it this far without you being there for her." Her voice caught. I really admire the way you hang in there with her. Frank admiration, that worried me a bit. She's strong, but this is all so terrible. You're just so good for her, Mark. We were talking about finding another place for her to stay, other than Hope Haven, so I could go on to college. But what scares me about that is that she's shy enough around strangers that she really needs someone there who knows and loves her. So I insisted that it has to be Hope Haven, even if I have to work a few years and go to college later. That'd be okay. I told her how I'd spent the night trying to think of another way, but nothing realistic had popped up. We were silent again. She smiled and said, "Mark, one thing I've always liked about you is that you are comfortable with who you are. You don't try to act all macho, and don't worry too much about what other people think. You and Sarah are both alike in that you're both strong, but in a real quiet, subtle sort of way." Somehow I could sense that a train was approaching somewhere, even though the tracks were miles away. But she didn't talk about it much more. We arrived at the fort and went past the ruins to a picnic overlook, with a path leading downward into the valley. We decided to walk the steep path. It was good to be out, to exercise my muscles, and to relax a bit. Some guys would freak out with the blue nail trick we've played on you. It would threaten their masculinity too much. But you're comfortable in yours. You holler a little, but don't let it bother you. Thanks, I said. I guess you're right. It's not that big a deal. Again, not much was said. We found a bench at a switchback in the trail, one that had a nice view, looking toward our town. "Actually, Mark," she began. Oh. I could hear that train. I did have an idea of how you could be there for Sarah when she goes for her chemo and rehab, and a way I could go to college. It's pretty wild, and you have every right to get mad, or to laugh in my face. But please give it a listen, okay? I nodded. She breathed deeply. You couldn't pass as dad or mom at Hope House, but you could pass for me. I could? Me? You? What are you trying to say? Stand up, Mark. I did. Look at me. I'm no Baywatch babe. We're the same height and almost the same body size. Do you know what people see when they see me? An ordinary-looking girl with great muscle tone, with big flashy nails, blonde curly hair, with ribbons and stuff. Some of my friends say I overcompensate to look feminine. Maybe I do, but I enjoy that part of my life, too. Remember when we were kidding around about dressing you up a couple of months ago? If we did it and did it right, you'd not only look like a girl, you'd look a lot like me. People who know us well could tell the difference, but you wouldn't be around anybody who knows us well. They'd see the hair, the nails, the muscles, and would recognize you as me. That's crazy. It couldn't possibly work. They'd figure it out, and we'd all be in trouble, even if I could pass for you, which I don't think for a moment I could. But if you could pass, and it could work, would you do it for Sarah, and for me? Wait, don't answer yes or no now. But would you think about it? I paused. You're sure this isn't a put-on? You're not just setting me up for a laugh. Because if you are, there'll be a big payback. They might never find your body, for starters. She assured me that she meant it, and I could see it in her eyes. Okay, I believe you. But who would believe me, even if I could look like you? How could I act like a girl, 24 hours a day, for 6 weeks? I'm not ready for Hollywood or Broadway, or anything. You don't have to act like a girl. You just have to act like me. Like a lot of the girls point out, there's a difference. I don't swish or sway, do I? Julie asked. I'm a down-to-earth, direct jock. And Sarah could give you tips and pointers, too. I know you can sound like me, you've mimicked my voice a million times. She was right. Julie had a low alto voice that wasn't so much different from my tenor, and I could match the tone dead on. She and her family were native to this area, so she talked more slowly and had a bit more of a drawl than does my family, who transplanted here when I was 4. Yeah, I drawled. Reckon you're right. Julie stuck her tongue out, and then went on. It's overacting that you'd have to worry about. Just be natural. Nobody's going to expect you to act like a cheerleader. People keep saying how much alike we are, so you wouldn't have to act a whole lot different than you act now. Well, maybe you shouldn't scratch your crotch or make body noises with your hand in your armpit. I've kind of outgrown that, anyway. See, you're almost there. Race you back up. She took out. Okay. But if I lose, that doesn't mean I have to do this crazy thing. Deal. The uphill run was demanding but good. It allowed my brain to go back into neutral after several minutes of redlining. After we got to the top, we rested, then got out lunch. Julie began the discussion again. I think you can do this, Mark, and do it well. I do have to admit that it won't be easy, that you'll find out what girls suffer to be beautiful. Nails like this will drive you crazy. You'll need a perm and bleach job. You'll need some ear piercings. I looked again at Julie's hair, nails, and earrings. We'll get you there, and see that you have the wardrobe, too. It won't be easy, but actually, it might be kind of fun. You'd learn life from a different angle, and my hunch is that as great as you are now, you'd come out better for it. Chewing on the drumstick, I wondered aloud. I did say I'd do anything I could to help, and I meant it. I'd even do what you're saying, I guess, if I thought I could pull it off. But what if this changes the way Sarah sees me? If I do it, I mean. What if she thinks I'm effeminate or something? Julie smiled. Nope, I think she'd love you all the more, if that's even possible. If a guy were willing to go that far for me, that's how I'd feel. I really don't know about this. But what about the ex thing? There's a reason they don't allow boyfriends and girlfriends to live together at Hope Haven. I really think that you love her too much to let it happen. If you two make a commitment, I know I'd trust you. Besides, remember that she's sick, and the chemo will make her really sick. You're going to be burning a lot of energy just keeping in your role. We can't do this behind our parents' support, and I'm still not convinced I can even pass as a girl, let alone get people to think I'm you. But if Sarah goes along with it, if your parents and my parents both agree to it, and you can convince me that I'd pass as a girl, I'll try. I'll do that for Sarah. And for you, I guess. But you'll owe me big time. And you'll have to promise never to tell anybody who doesn't have to know, because this could kill my reputation. And promise not to give me a hard time about it. And promise not to paint my nails when I'm asleep either. She came over and hugged me. It'll work, just wait and see. And I promise on all counts, Girl Scout promise, cross my heart, and all that good stuff. And we'll be able to do each other's nails and have fun together with it. One thing reassured me. I doubted that either Sarah or our parents would go along with it. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks.